I'm writing this script on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so to borrow a quote from the good doctor himself, I have a dream that one day Marvel will create a show that is actually like a show. That someday they will write characters that are held to account for their actions, create well choreographed action scenes that don't sacrifice logic, and develop a plot that is forwarded by competent characters advancing conflicting plans, rather than stupid characters acting irrationally and other characters conveniently stumbling into the correct position for the writers to get their unearned payoffs. But that show is certainly not Echo. Spoiler warning in case you want to subject yourself to this show too. Echo follows the story of Maya Lopez. Oh, sorry. Maya Lopez is a character that was introduced in Hawkeye. Oh, sorry. Hawkeye was a show with Jeremy Renner that, um, well, it took place at Christmas. I remember that. And Maya Lopez shot Kingpin in the face at the end, so that's really all that's important.
Were you killed?
Sadly, yes. But I lived.
Picking up after that, Maya goes home and decides it's time for a woman to take over Kingpin's operation. So to start, Maya plants a bomb on a train shipment that makes its way to one of his armories to blow it up. And for some reason, she thinks that will lead to something other than his people tracking down where the shipment came from and eventually finding her family's small town.
Not a great plan.
When her uncle points out that, hey, that was dumb, Maya literally says they can't do too much with their armory melted. Like Wilson Fisk kept all of the weapons for his organization in one place. Eventually, she's tracked down by Kingpin's men, who nearly kill Maya's uncle and sister, and Kingpin offers to make Maya his queenpin after she shot him in the face. And he survived. Because I guess all of Disney has adopted the Star Wars perspective on what causes death. When she refuses, Kingpin gets angry and threatens her family, so Maya draws on the powers of her Choctaw ancestors. What are those powers? Girl power, I guess? To stop Kingpin, she, and I really can't think of another way to describe what happens here, she angs him. She does some weird energy bending thing that turns him into a harmless bald teddy bear. And that's it. Everyone's okay, and Maya decides to stay home with her family and her people. Where to start? Well, the action is terrible. Maya pile drives men who have a 100-pound weight advantage on her, rather than using weapons or manipulating her environment to gain the upper hand. After she plants the bomb on the train shipment, she relies on her cousin to catch up to the train in her grandmother's pickup truck so she can jump to it. And apparently this was her plan all along, despite never informing him of any of this. We never even get the obvious fight scene in silence to feel what Maya is experiencing. I mean, they get close, but there's always either music playing or we hear a heartbeat. For some reason, the show is scared to leave you without any noise. I'm pretty sure deaf people can't hear their own heartbeat. Setups are, well, set up and never paid off. Like her cousin working to fix the truck after it gets damaged in Maya's train debacle before returning it to their grandmother. Payoffs come with no setup, like Maya cutting herself free with her Joker boot that we never knew existed before that moment. The show gets a mature rating that it only utilizes once to show a character bleeding after being shot, and my only conclusion is that this show wants you to think it's like Daredevil without actually being like Daredevil. Daredevil shows up for one dumb fight scene just to remind you that shows were good once upon a time, and Wilson Fisk suffers the same fate as every cool character in the last decade, from Luke Skywalker to Indiana Jones to Joel. Utterly neutered and destroyed to prop up a new female character that unfortunately can't stand on her own.
Go away!
But the real highlight of the show is Maya. Maya is deaf and mute. Or is she? She uses sign language, and everyone else does when they speak to her, but there are times when she lets out audible grunts at normal volumes when she gets hit, and other times where you can distinctly hear her whispering her dialogue as she signs it. Now, I'm not a speech therapist. I don't have a master's in speech pathology. But luckily, an acquaintance of mine does, so I asked her if it made any sense for someone to showcase those capabilities but not be able to speak normally, and she said probably not. So that confirms that question. Marvel can't even correctly make a character mute. But forgiving that, if you have a character unable to speak, then the actress needs to compensate for us not hearing her words or tone with her facial expressions to develop her as a character. But instead, she's just as stoic as every strong female character from Captain Marvel to Ahsoka. And not stoic in the sense of what that word actually means. Stoic as the word is used to describe characters written without any emotion or depth. She's truly a block of wood. She has no charisma, she has incredible abilities through no merit of her own, nobody ascribes any blame to her, everyone sides with her regardless of the destructive decisions she makes that put others in danger, and her wonderful virtues are told to us by other characters rather than shown to us with any trace of writing skill. Man, we should come up with a term for characters like this. Seriously, she gets compared to Kingpin, which, to be fair, she is just like Wilson Fisk, just without the imposing stature, wealth, experience, ruthlessness, vision, intimidation, and ability to talk. And her dead mother informs her and us in a vision that her gifts are strategy, which is why her plan to take over Kingpin's enterprise didn't extend any further than blowing up an armory. Cunning, which is why she never, say, uses her deafness as a tool to lull an adversary into letting his guard down before attacking. Ferocity, which can only be justified if you conflate ferocity with recklessness. And love, which is why she puts her entire family and town in the crosshairs of a criminal overlord. Her true qualities are hubris, stupidity, and disconsideration for those around her. She's another female character who the writers don't realize they've written as a villain.
You're gonna give me your jacket, your helmet, and your motorcycle, and in return, I'm gonna let you keep your hand.
Take it!
The only redeeming aspect of this show is that it was small, self-contained, grounded, free of the convoluted mess that was created by all of Phase 4. And if Marvel wants to have any hope of returning to even a shadow of what it once was, it needs to start by stopping the bleeding. It needs to abandon the Lokis, Quantumanias, and multiverses of madness, and rebuild some trust with its audience in smaller projects like Echo. Just, make them good. Hey, if you liked this video, feel free to check out some of my other videos and consider subscribing to the channel. We have lots of fun analyzing pieces of media from writing, cultural, financial, and even sometimes mathematical perspectives. And occasionally, we even bring sports into it a bit. If any of that interests you, come on along for the ride through what's going to be a fun 2020 for the boys and girls. All are welcome. Bye!